In 1961, the sodomy laws were still on the books in the UK. And they made victim. Dirk Bogarde, very brave actor. Yeah, Dirk Bogarde went ahead and made a gay movie. And the message of the movie seems to be that if you make something illegal, which is just a natural thing that people do, and doesn't have, it's a victimless, it's not a crime, it's victimless, and you make it a crime, that means that a portion of the population are going to be open for blackmail. And this is of course only about the population that had any form of blackmailability, namely they either have money or they make money or they have status and they can get money. So this is a higher class of people, let's call it the middle classes and the upper class, that are being faced with being blackmailed pretty much on a constant basis. And once our main guy, Melville, meets up with some more established men, because he's a lawyer and he's fairly established, but he's still scrapping his way up. And these are much more established men. He finds out that they have a way of dealing with blackmail. Namely, you pay. You just pay. And that was not something that he was considering. Like, why would you pay? You know, don't you fight it? No, we pay. And we get on with things. So the whole thing is, they're taking scenes and then they put in effectively political rhetoric. This is bad because, this doesn't work because. They even say this one guy went to jail 4 times when he was younger for being gay, for doing stuff with other men, because they can't convict you for being gay, they can convict you for acts. And they don't say that clearly in this film. It's the act that is prosecutable. So what Melville does is he stays out of stuff. He does not go with guys. He, as far as we know, he's never had sex with guys, although this film doesn't actually talk about sex. So it's very interesting. You have a whole film about the sexual act between 2 men, and the entire film, sex is not mentioned. Again, we're implying stuff. He decides that he's going to take this case of blackmail that his young, not quite lover, we'd never know whether they actually had any relations other than sitting in a car and necking maybe. But since the movie doesn't talk about sex, we can think it's true and not true at the same time. It's just Schrodinger's
Schrodinger's sex.
Schrodinger's gay sex, yes. I don't know what you're supposed to think about it, because
I think you're supposed to think that they're screwing.
Right, because if he never actually screwed a guy, well, that is crude. If he never actually had sex with a guy and there's no children in his marriage, so we don't have any evidence that he had sex with his wife, then he could effectively be an asexual person and make this a lot more diverse.
No, I don't think that's...
No, but she could still be either asexual or maybe not quite lesbian. She doesn't really... See, women in these days, yeah.
So a little bit of that.
A little
maybe.
bit of that. Well, no, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of this because pretty much all the men in the entire film are gay. The only one we don't know about is the inspector. And he says, I'm a policeman.
Ah.
So that could also be code.
Blue.
That could be also code for also gay. But I like it because we've seen a lot of films where it's like there's one queer bubble and everybody's talking about it, now it's a gay movie. No, here pretty much. And especially when he's got he gets an invitation from the, let's call it the upper class guys, and they're all being blackmailed by the same group, the same people, and they're all looking at each other like, you too, you too, you too, and then they're like, oh, and you too, because most of them didn't know about him being gay, about Melville being gay. Only one guy knew about it because there was another, because of relationships with like somebody's dad and things. So, yeah, there's a... I like the amount of gay men in this film. I really enjoy that. And that they are just men. They are just themselves. Yes, one is a hairdresser, but one is a lawyer and one is a higher up. We don't find out what the higher up guys are, but they are probably heavy political or heavy something or other. And some of them are queer-coded, but most of them not really. Not even the hairdresser that much. I think that's great. I like it. It's not so, standard Hollywood queer-coded people. It's just people, and most of them are gay. I still think it's just Dirk Bogarde. Oh, come on! He's just doing that! It's like, in 1961, he must have known that would mean he would never get any roles in Hollywood ever again. He barely had them, but okay, he had some. But after that, forget it. So... And that went on until easily the 2010s, before actors could actually say, I'm doing a gay role because it's cool, and expect then to still be an A-listed actor and still get roles. There's still not that many A-listed actors in Hollywood that do gay roles. So the film follows Melville, but also his wife a little bit. And she says, I'm leaving, and then he says, I will expect you will be gone. And he does not lie to her. He's never lied to her, which I think is a very nice touch in this film. So it wasn't a marriage of convenience in that sense that he just let her believe stuff and he just never addressed it. It was a marriage that they were both going in knowing he had had a relationship with a guy. The guy had at university, and then the guy had committed suicide. This is a thing that happens twice in the film. It's either commenting that you put people in this kind of position where they are convicted without a crime kind of thing, and they can't not be what they are. They can't have a love life. Is that will lead to many suicides. I would believe that. For the film it's quite repetitive though, because his previous lover, he doesn't quite confess up to having been lovers with him, but he certainly said this guy was super interested in him, but then committed suicide, and that was a character thing. It's like that guy was very clingy and he was always threatening suicide. It's like, okay, well, I'd say somebody should do something, and send him to some care.
If he actually commits the suicide, you can believe him that he meant it.
Yes, it wasn't just a threat. It was literally this guy was about to commit suicide, and I'm not surprised that takes several goes to... It's a cry for help, of course. And then this new guy, Barrett, which is... this is sort of the mystery plot of the film. Therefore, I've already spoiled it, so maybe at the beginning there should be a spoiler warning. But you don't know exactly what's going on. We're being drawn into this film by Barrett, and then slowly we get to see him talking to all the people saying, I have to get out, I have to get out. Of course, I already knew the topic of the film. But if you don't, you start to slowly find out what he's running from. And he has a photo that was given to him by the blackmailers of him and Melville together, very close together. There's no kissing, there's nothing going on. Everybody remarks when they see the photo that you can't, if one of the guys wasn't crying, you would say there's nothing going on in this photo. But they were so close together and one of them was crying. It is enough to convict publicly, maybe, I don't know, for the courts, but it was more of a social blackmail. And they were blackmailing Barrett, assuming that he was well in with Melville and that he was going to be able to get money off of Melville. And Melville just thought that Barrett was trying to blackmail him by constantly trying to get in touch with him. When they'd said, we're breaking this off, we're stopping. And that was a perfectly reasonable thing of Melville to think. So all of these things are commentary on this law that is arcane law, and they say this is an old law. It has nothing to do with modern life. And everybody has to deal with this who is gay. Well, gay guys, because it's only about men. And then within the police, they are... I have to put this then down. Within the police, they are talking with each other about, well, what's this law for? We have to uphold the law. We have to do this thing. And the inspector says, if one of these men come in and ask us for help, then we can go after the blackmailers, because the blackmailers are criminals. And it's very clear in the film that that is not under discussion, that blackmailers aren't criminals. It's just that the moment somebody says, I'm being blackmailed for this, that it's out in the newspapers. And they say it's out in 3 days in the newspapers. I'm going, 3 days? You walk out of the courthouses already in the newspaper. Oh no, wait a minute, this is 1961. It takes a couple of days for it to hit the newspapers, then it hits the international newspapers, or at least the regional newspapers. Yeah, so... yeah. So we still have that relationship with Melville and his wife, while the stuff with Barrett happened. Melville did not tell his wife about Barrett at all. So I kind of think that yes, he liked him, but that nothing actually happened. He was just giving him rides from A to B, and he was just basking in the company of the young man that he wanted to be around. And then stopped, broke it off, because he has a career, he has a wife, and all of that amounts to an honorable guy in a very crap situation, until Barrett is pushed into a corner by the police and he commits suicide in police lockup. Doesn't even go through anything. He's like, I'm toast, I can't do this anymore. And that's when Melville changes, and he's like, I'm bringing this to an end. I'm a lawyer. I will... First he says, I'm a lawyer. That's the answer to any question about him being gay. I'm a lawyer. And then he says, I will change the law. We need to show this, and we need to change the law. And I think that's the film. That's what the film is trying to do, is show all the situations that happen when they even say 90% of blackmail cases at that time were gay guys. Just that. Because they were eminently blackmailable. It was a complete and utter no-go, both social and for the justice system. And these people they were earners. They had money. You know, it took the media until Queer as Folk, which is late 1990s, like super late, 1999. It took it until then before the media realized that gay guys are a good market. Because you have a lot of dinks. Dual incomes, no kids. And men are always the higher earners, especially 30 years ago, especially, 1961. They are the only earners. So, who is very blackmailable? Dudes. Dudes who have a career. High-flying career. Even more money. It's an ideal circumstance for... I mean, they show the blackmailer is effectively... This is his job. He just finds them. He locates them. And he brings them down. And he has a whole script in his head about which are blackmailable for the long term, which are blackmailable for only once. Melville clearly, that's a bit of a difficult case. Let's only blackmail him once. But the other guys they're saying, yeah, we pay. Is those guys blackmailable for the long term? And it's a ridiculous system, an utterly ridiculous system. They also put in the crazy people who truly believe gay men are whatever, are, you know,
The devil.
Yeah, no, I think that was even mentioned, the devil. And that's in the form of a woman who just, yeah, well, we've all seen them. This kind of type, whether it's male or female. It's just they have a stick up their ass, they have some problem, and this is how they're doing life. So we will wave them away. She gets taken down. The blackmailer gets taken down. And then the last scene is with Melville and his wife. And she's still there. And she says, she says it's gonna, the media are gonna hit the fan in a couple days. Then it's gonna be crazy for weeks while there's a trial. And after that, maybe we can see. And she says, I will be there for everything for you. And he says, no. Show up afterwards, then we will have a relationship, but not during. And I was thinking, I love this guy because he says he loves her. Whether or not he's having sex with her, I don't know, but he loves her. He honestly married her to take care, you know, to take care of each other, to be a proper couple. He said he's keeping her out of this. If she spends those weeks in the spotlights with him, because he's gonna be in the spotlights, then she's gonna have all these pictures to deal with. There's no sense in putting her through that. It's much more useful if she just goes away, does not show herself until everything is done and dusted. And I don't think 3 weeks are gonna cut it. I think it's more like 6 months. And 5 years would be even better.
It's England, not the States.
Yeah, and it's 1961, so who knows? There's gonna be another scandal in 2 weeks. I don't know. But they are going to meet up again. And I was thinking, is this a good thing? Because it is a marriage of convenience. He's clearly very gay. So when the movie was kind of getting going, I was thinking, okay, so we've got a proper bisexual here or something like that. And I get the sense that that's not really it. Because if he is the marrying kind, which he does seem that way, so he's like a single person is enough, then even a bisexual person is like, I've got her, I'm done, I'm good. So, yeah, I think if Melville had lived now, clearly he would never have married her. Do I fault him for marrying her? No, not really. She wanted it, he wanted it, they thought it was a good idea. It's okay to get married for a while and then realize this is not it. That is also fine. He put a ring on it. She put a ring on it. She knew his relationship with this other guy beforehand. There was no lying. And the scenes between them are just really good because it's quite cold, but it looks like she is sort of like at the end of a certain time period that she's been dealing with him not saying anything, not telling her about who he's seeing, and she got tired of it and it's like, yeah, girl, walk away. You don't need to be with this guy. But if she doesn't, and she didn't, okay. If you see something in that relationship, sure. I'm just surprised they didn't have already a bunch of kids.
I think they didn't have a bunch of kids because she didn't want to have kids. That's why she picked a guy who wouldn't be having sex with her.
Because it's right before the pill.
Exactly.
Around the time that the contraceptive pill.
There are enough women who actually don't want to have children.
Yeah. But
for many reasons.
She's working with kids, so maybe that's enough for her, and she... Not everybody wants everything. So I'm always thinking that if somebody wants to do that and she's going in with her eyes open, okay, she may have a reason for it and we don't know the reason. Maybe she is asexual. Maybe she is just plain like, this is a proper dude. I like where he's going. I just want to be along for the ride kind of thing. Because at that time, women didn't get to be lawyers. You know, and she's out in a hospital working with kids and a doctor. They're not clear about what's going on there, but they're presenting it as in she's probably had some nursing training, and this is about as much as she can squeeze out of the 1960s for herself. Wait 5 years or 10 years, things will change. She will do. And I was thinking for the entire movie, only 10 years. You will see the world will have changed. Oh, would have been great.
Yeah, but 10 years is a long time for a woman if of a certain age. You have your window to have children, or in this case, not have children.
Who knows? Yeah.
And the social status of being married to a successful lawyer is wonderful, and especially if the guy, obviously according to her wishes, is not going to be giving her any children.
And maybe that allows her to work at the hospital and work with the children. I mean, you can work with children and not especially want to have any children. That's a completely different thing. It's like an ambition in life. Maybe she's like, oh, he's super ambitious. He's never going to be home. And, you know, and I can get to do the work that I want to do. Win-win. So I think they are going to get together, and I really like the communication between them, even though it was a little bit on the cold side, but that's the era, and it is the people, the type of people. And also she was kind of done at the beginning. She was much more like realizing what she was willing to do to keep the relationship throughout. Yeah. So kudos to Dirk Bogarde and everybody else in this film. The young man, his friend, this is his friend guy, and I think he's also gay. Basically everybody in this film, it's well written. The only thing is it's in black and white, but in 1961 they were still making black and white films, and especially not in Hollywood, you know, like Europe, UK, black and white. It's a very good print. I mean, it's sharp. The sound is a bit crap. So it goes from too loud to too soft for the... So I had subtitles on. But yeah, it's great. It's good stuff, and definitely good for Pride Month. And that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.